Hello, nurses, and welcome back to Staff Development Nurse. I am Nurse Courtney, and on the channel, I give you tips, tricks, tools, and resources to help you be successful in skilled nursing and long-term care. Those of you who are returning to the channel, thank you so much for tuning back in. And in today's video, I'm going to talk to you about the number one misused office item that it may be causing you a lot of confusion, disorganization, and difficulty with following up and following through with your tasks. So that number one misuse item is a post-it note or sticky note. So I want to share with you just a little bit about my journey. When I first became a nurse manager, it was very overwhelming getting a lot of information from all different directions, especially being on the go, right? You're constantly moving around. People are constantly coming at you. And sticky notes were kind of my go-to, all right? And so this may be something familiar. Maybe this is something that you're doing. When people would come to me, I would write it down in a sticky note really quick, put it back in my pocket, right? It was nice and small. I could carry it with me anywhere that I needed to go throughout the building. And then the issues started to roll in. So let me share with you some of the biggest issues when you're using sticky notes as your primary note-taking method, right? So the first one is just there's too many sticky notes to track, right? The sticky note is very small in size. The amount of information that you're going to stick on one note probably is not going to be a lot of information. And what often happens is you peel it off, you stick it somewhere, and then you write another task on another post-it or sticky note. And before you know it, you have a computer that has sticky notes lying down the side, sticky notes on the desk, sticky notes on sheets of paper, just sticky notes everywhere. Okay, so there's just too many of them to track, which is a problem, right? The other thing is that they get lost very easily because you don't have any system in place to know, okay, I have 15 sticky notes and you're counting them to make sure that you have them all. You really don't know if you visually have all of your tasks and everything you need to do right in front of you. You don't know that. So it's very easy to miss something, to not do something, or something just to completely slip your mind, right? Because the whole point of writing it down was so that you didn't forget it, okay? The other thing is that it makes it really difficult to prioritize your tasks. Now, you know, as a nurse manager, you have to prioritize your tasks. That tasks that come to you, it seems like it never stops. It's one that you literally complete something and take it away, and before you know it, something is added right back in, right? It's a continuous cycle. The problem is you have to prioritize. If you don't have a system in place where you can clearly see everything that you need to do for the day, it's difficult to identify what needs to be done first and what things can be saved until last, right? So sticky notes are terrible, terrible for trying to figure out how to prioritize your day. It's actually going to make you much more frustrated to try to prioritize your day when you're looking at 15 different sticky notes, right? And the number one thing that I don't like about sticky notes when they're your primary note-taking method is there's no way for you to look back and clearly see what you have done, what you have accomplished for that day, right? So when we complete a task with a sticky note, the number one thing that most people do is we take it off, we crumble it up, and we throw it away. And it makes us feel so good because it's one less thing on our desk. We can visually see that we went from 15 to 14 sticky notes, and we feel really, really good about it. The problem with that is if I need to reference back tomorrow what I did yesterday, there is no way for me to reference that information or material. The only information that I could have referenced is now in the trash. Okay, so these are the top reasons that I personally am very cautious when I use sticky notes, and it literally is the number one reason that I see nurse managers having difficulty with getting organized with some of my one-to-one consultant clients. It is the number one thing that I see when people have difficulty getting organized, and following through. So let's talk about a proper way that you can use a sticky note. Well, first of all, when you take your notes, you want to make sure that you have a note-taking system in place, whether it's on a pre-printed form or template that has different categories, whether it's just in a notebook using a task list that you can clearly see what you've done for the day. Whatever it is, you need to have a clear, definitive note-taking process. And that is where it starts. So let me give you an example of the sticky note. Let's say in my notebook, my task list, or wherever I'm using to get organized, I have a task that I know I need to do, and I need to follow up on resident AB's nurse's note. Okay, that is on my note. Now, what I could do is, if I had a printed copy of that nurse's note, I could take my sticky note and write the minute details of what I'm looking for in that note and stick it on the paper. So let's say the issue with that particular note was the vital signs in the note. Okay, and I could write myself on that sticky note and just say, talk to nurse about vital signs, and stick it on the printout of the note itself or the photocopy of the note itself, right? So in this way, it's not my primary note-taking method. It's more secondary, really. It's giving me more minute details on the document itself on what I specifically need to see, do, or follow up with. But irregardless, if I lose that note, that sticky note, if I lose the sticky note, it is not going to stop me from completing my task, because at the end of the day, I still can read the nurse's note and see where the problem lies. This post-it note on top of it is just a quicker way for me to reference what I need to do without necessarily reading through the whole note again. Okay, so that is the proper way to use a sticky note. Don't fall victim to the sticky note trap like I did and so many other nurse managers did. You really want to create a system and flow of note taking and creating a task list. If you visit me on my website, staffdevelopmentnurse.com, I have a great Ultimate Nurse Manager Planner downloadable toolkit that you can access, and it really is a planner, audit tool, nurse's note, and tracking system all in one. It is an excellent tool. Check it out when you go on there. And don't forget to join me on my private Facebook group where I'm taking new nurse managers just like you in skilled nursing and long-term care and creating an extremely supportive environment where you can ask questions, get links to resources and guides, and get access to live monthly training by me. Okay, so thank you so much for joining in, and I will see you probably in the next video.